Hi, I'm Danielle Campbell, and I'm here in Weatherford, Texas at Kerry Kelley Bits and Spurs. I've been asked by so many people over the past few months, who is Kerry Kelley? Where does he come from? Where did he learn how to do this, making these bits, these amazing spurs? And I'm going to take you inside, and we're going to let the man himself answer some of these questions. So at what point in your life did you wake up one morning and say, I want to be a bit and spur maker?
I probably started my interest in spur making when I got my first pair of spurs. A man named Ray Anderson, north of town, probably sparked my interest in spur making. It would have been 93 to 95. I don't know exactly when, but I remember making my first pair of spurs, and I took them back to Ray Anderson and let him critique them. And one of the things he told me is like, so when you touch them, you know, just make sure they're smooth and really do a good job finishing them. And I've to this day, I've still, you know, taken that to heart, and that's one of the things that I pride myself in is the finish and how it feels. You know, you can look at them, they look really great, but you pick it up and you go, man, it's soft to the touch, it's smooth, it's finished.
Who were your biggest influences? Like whose work did you look at that you aspired to be able to even match, let alone surpass at some point in your career?
I was probably passionate about making spurs first, the silversmith part. The influence I had came from, you know, Texas blacksmiths. A guy in Austin, Texas called Pickmecky. He was a gunsmith. He made some of the first spurs that were copied by different blacksmiths. Blacksmiths that were, you know, in those small towns shoeing horses and things like that. They started making spurs for those trail drive cowboys. That's where my influence comes from, because it carried over to P.M. Kelley at the turn of the century, on up to Adolph Byers and Billy Clapper. Those guys had the artwork and the functionality of the spurs and bits that influenced me the most. I was self-taught, loved the filigree, the old-time cowboy type leather work, and the artistry that went into the spurs and the silver work. You never have just that influence of one person. So it was a conglomerate of all the artistry that I saw from different makers, you know, that really set me apart, made those designs unique.
I always find it interesting when you talk to different people in every aspect of the world when they say that they are self-taught. And it seems like some of the greatest musicians, artists, horsemen are all self-taught to some degree. What do you mean by you being self-taught?
You know, all I did was I went and bought an engraver, and I had an old DVD of a Jeremiah Watt tape, and I remember watching that tape and going, man, that didn't teach me anything. So I went and bought my first GRS engraver. I still have it to this day, and I just started doing it. Man, my first stuff was ugly. It was not good at all. But I never went to an engraving school and studied under someone like that. I always trial and error. I was so passionate about it, you know, I would dream about it at night. Before I'd go to sleep, I would be thinking about building spurs and what my next little project would be, or man, just staying after it, studying, just drawing. It was drawing every day. It was something I had a little project, and I would draw pictures of floral patterns and just working at it over and over and over, just doing it every night, every day.
How long were you building spurs before you decided to venture into bits?
My parents had a metal heat treating business, and I worked there a little bit. It was just a small part of what I did, because I've been doing the spurs for years and years now. But at that time, I met Jim Edwards. He came into the company there, and he had some mouthpiece molds built. And I met him there, and we became friends. He was influenced by John Hoyt, Bobby Lewis, Bill Freeman, guys like that influenced him, and I got some of that knowledge. I just gleaned some of that knowledge from Jim. About 2003, I bought his business, and that's when I started making the bits more than just the Spurs. It was bits and Spurs then. When I started making Spurs, Ellison Carter told me, he goes, "Hey, you know, the Spurs are good, but the bits will make you famous." And I go, "What does that mean?" Because, you know, I'm thinking, oh yeah, the spur makers are the guys, you know, that floral, that artistic patterns and things like that. But it was really about, I've made so many bits for so many horsemen that get me into so many more doors now with the other products. He was absolutely right about making bits. It was phenomenal what it's done.
You were raised here in Weatherford, Texas, and this is obviously where you started your business. You've lived here your entire life. What advantages have come out of that for you as you ventured into this business?
I probably grew up just 5 miles from here as a crow flies. We live just south of town now, and my store is half a mile from my house. Been blessed to work out of my house 30 yards from where I raised my kids. But being here in Weatherford, it's the cutting horse capital of the world. I've been close proximity to some of the best cutting horse trainers in the world. World champions, many different trainers right here within 10 miles of me. So them coming, working on bits, that influence they give me, the going and watching them ride, working on different projects with them. You know, Boyd Rice lives down the road from me. He's been in my shop. We've built mouthpieces, shanks, a lot of bits. We've sat there and we've done it trial and error or just improvising on different bits. But he's sat there with me. We're measuring mouthpieces. He's standing right there using my readers to look at the bits with me. And a lot of how we get things done is just listening to the horsemen and what they want. It's not about what I know. It's about listening to those guys and understanding what they need to do.
And you had to change a lot when you started making the barrel racing bits because it was new materials and new metal, different style shanks, a lot changed. Tell me about what needed to change for you and why you started using those materials on those bits to not only aesthetically make them look good, but also to keep them functioning for years and years to come.
It's been a good partnership just because of what you bring and your knowledge of bits. I have no idea about barrel bits. I mean, I don't know how they work, but just being around you were there. You had so many different bridles that, hey, I want to do this. I want to change this up. I love this mouthpiece. Is this? I need the horse to do this. I need to collect this horse. I need to free up this horse. I have so many different designs that need to be done.
One thing I had to learn in this process and you had to change was for our barrel racing bits, you use 2 different steels to make each one. Tell me why you do that.
So you and I work on functionality first. So the bit has to work smoothly and do what we want it to do. So all our barrel racing shanks, the shanks are stainless steel. The moving parts are stainless, and then I try to make sure I have the copper and the sweet iron in the mouthpieces just for comfortability. The copper, the sweet iron in the mouthpiece, it makes the horse softer, makes them supple, and the taste is more enjoyable than a stainless steel. Still use a lot of stainless steel because I make a lot of moving parts. And those parts are not going to wear, they're not going to rust, they're going to hold up better because they're stainless. So we have to put them together, stainless, mild steel or sweet iron, whatever you want to call it. And there's a combination in many of the mouthpieces. There's a combination of stainless, sweet iron, and copper.
When I look through your picture book, I'm blown away at the stuff that you've done that I had no idea that you did. Like no clue that you would or even could. And don't take that the wrong way, but I don't think that the world truly knows how insanely talented you are, because you do have such a high demand for your bits and spurs. I mean, your engraving and your artistic ability is a one-man show, and I don't think people realize that either. So for you to be able to put all of that into a belt buckle or headstall buckles nowadays seems impossible, but it absolutely floors me to see some of what you've done and like what a true artist you are.
So it's not like I set out to be somebody or make the best product ever. I was passionate about doing the Spurs, the artistic work about it, and it developed into a great product. So it came with hard work, a passion, and a little bit of ingenuity. That's got me where I am today.